For decades, the career ladder started the same way. Graduate from college, get your first job, gain experience, climb the ladder, but something strange is happening in the modern economy. Companies are quietly removing the first step of the ladder. And if the first step disappears, how will anyone climb it? Welcome back to Next Era Economics. If you're new here, this channel is about understanding the forces reshaping careers, money, and opportunity in America. And today's topic is one that I think is going to affect an entire generation of workers in ways most people haven't fully processed yet. We're talking about the collapse of the entry-level job, not a recession, not a hiring slowdown. Something more structural, more permanent, and honestly more alarming. So stick with me through this video because by the end, you're going to see the job market in a completely different way. Let's get into it. To understand what's being lost, you first have to understand what was built. For most of the 20th century, the American career system operated like a ladder. A very simple, very dependable ladder. You graduated from high school or college, you applied for an entry-level job. A company hired you, even if you had zero experience, because they expected to train you. You showed up, you worked hard, you learned on the job, and over time you earned promotions. You climbed. It was never glamorous at the bottom. Entry-level jobs were often tedious. Low pay, lots of grunt work. You were the person making copies, answering phones, running basic reports, doing research that more senior employees didn't want to spend time on. But here's what that grunt work actually was. It was a training ground. It was how an entire generation of professionals learned how companies work, how industries function, how to navigate workplace politics, how to build relationships. Every senior executive you admire right now, every VP, every director, every C-suite leader started at the bottom of that ladder. They had a first step, and the system had a logic to it. Companies invested in junior employees because junior employees were cheap, eager, and grew into loyal, experienced workers. It was a trade. You gave your early years of low productivity. They gave you knowledge, mentorship, and a career path. That trade made sense for about 70 years. And then something changed. The entry-level job didn't disappear overnight. It's being dismantled by three separate forces happening simultaneously. And when you see all three together, the picture becomes very clear. The first force, AI, is doing the entry-level work. Think about what entry-level jobs actually involve. Junior analysts pulling data in a fraction of the time. A junior analyst who might spend 3 hours building. A data summary can now be replaced by a prompt that generates the same summary in 30 seconds. A research assistant who spends a full day gathering competitor information can be replaced by a tool that does it in minutes. This isn't speculation. Companies across finance, consulting, marketing, law, and tech have already started reducing their junior hiring because the work those juniors used to do is now being automated. The grunt work is disappearing, and with it, the training ground. The second force is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Even when companies do hire, they are increasingly choosing to hire fewer people with more experience, rather than more people with less experience. Why? Because the cost of a bad hire has gone up dramatically. Hiring and onboarding an employee is expensive. Training takes time. And in a competitive market, companies can't afford to wait 80 months for a junior employee to become productive. So instead they hire one senior person who can do the work of 2 juniors from day one. They pay more per person, but they get more output per dollar. It's a math that works for the company. But it's a math that closes the door on early career candidates. And this trend accelerated sharply after the pandemic. Companies that were forced to lay off junior workers in 2020 discovered something uncomfortable. They could often function fine without them. Productivity didn't collapse. Senior employees adapted, and when the economy recovered, many companies chose not to rebuild their junior pipelines at all. They kept a leaner model. They kept a senior-heavy structure. and they are desperate for workers. And it looks like understanding that the new economy rewards people who are visible, not just qualified visible. Because when companies aren't running traditional hiring pipelines, they fill roles through networks, through referrals, through people they've seen online or heard about through colleagues. If you're invisible, you don't exist to the companies that might hire you. The career ladder isn't gone. But it's been moved, and it's no longer in the same place it was for the previous generation. The career ladder was never perfect. Plenty of people got stuck on lower rungs. Plenty of people were locked out for reasons that had nothing to do with their talent. But at least they had a first step. And that first step, as unglamorous and underpaid as it was, gave millions of Americans the chance to start, to prove themselves, to build towards something. If that step disappears, the question is no longer how high you can climb. The question becomes whether you can climb at all. That is what's at stake. And I think it's a conversation we need to be having loudly and urgently before the window to do something about it closes. If this video made you think differently about the job market, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you're new. We cover this kind of macro career and economic analysis every week. And drop a comment below. I want to know, do you think the entry-level job is recoverable? Or is this a permanent shift? I'll see you in the next one. The third force, internships are disappearing too. Some of you might be thinking, okay, but what about internships? Isn't that how you build early experience? Yes, it was. But internship pipelines are also shrinking. Over the last 3 years, major companies across sectors have either reduced internship class sizes, converted paid internships to unpaid ones, or frozen graduate recruiting programs entirely. This matters more than most people realize. For a large segment of the American workforce, internships were the bridge. The way you turned a college degree into a real job offer. The way you got that critical first line on your resume that opened every other door. Take away the internship. Add the preference for experienced hires. Layer on a eye-replacing entry-level tasks. And suddenly you have a system where the path from graduation to first career job is not just harder, it's structurally blocked. Here's where it gets serious. Each of those three forces sounds like a business decision. A company optimizing for efficiency. And individually, maybe you could argue that's fine. But when you step back and see what all three together are doing to the career ladder, the picture becomes alarming. Because the career ladder doesn't just need a top, it needs a bottom. If companies stop hiring beginners, the entire ladder breaks. Not for the companies. For the workers, think about it this way. Every experienced professional you see today, every manager, every director, every expert in their field, got their experience by starting somewhere. They had a first job, they had a place to fail safely, to learn, to grow. Someone took a chance on them when they had nothing to show yet. Now take that away. If you can't get the first job because you don't have experience, and you can't get experience, because no one will give you a first job, you are stuck. Not because you aren't talented. Not because you aren't working hard, because the system has removed the entry point. No experience means no promotion. No first job means no career start. It's a loop that has no exit. And I want you to really sit with that for a second. Because we are not talking about a temporary setback. We are not talking about a tough job market that will recover in 2 years. We are talking about a structural shift in how the American economy allocates opportunity to young workers. And the people most affected by this are the ones who can least afford it. When something this large changes, it doesn't stay contained. It spreads. The first consequence is youth unemployment, and more specifically, what economists call underemployment. Young people who have degrees but can't find jobs that match their qualifications, so they take jobs below their skill level. They take gig work. They take retail and service jobs just to pay rent. And their skills, the skills they spent 4 years and $60,000 building, sit unused and atrophy. The second consequence is degree value collapse. For years, a college degree was sold as the path to the middle class. Work hard. Go to college. Get a good job. And for a long time, that was roughly true. But if companies aren't hiring college graduates into career track jobs anymore, the contract breaks. The return on a 4-year degree drops, and an entire generation is left holding massive student debt and a diploma that doesn't open the doors it was supposed to. This is already happening. We're already seeing surveys where a significant percentage of recent graduates report that their first job is unrelated to their field of study. That's not a statistic about finding yourself, that's a statistic about a broken pipeline. The third consequence is delayed careers, and by extension, delayed everything. Delayed financial independence, delayed homeownership, delayed family formation. When the career ladder is blocked at the bottom, the downstream effects ripple through every major life milestone. And the fourth consequence, growing inequality. Because here's the thing about the disappearing entry-level job. It doesn't disappear equally. If your family has money, has connections, has the ability to support you through an unpaid internship or a period of underemployment, you weather this. You find a way through. But if you're the first person in your family to go to college, if you have student debt, if you can't afford to work for free or take a low-paying position while you wait for the right opportunity, the door closes harder for you than it closes for someone else. And that is how inequality compounds across generations. Now, I don't want to leave you with just a problem because this channel is about understanding and adapting. So, let me give you the honest picture of where opportunity still exists. The workers who are surviving and thriving in this new environment are the ones who didn't wait for the traditional system to give them a first step. They built their own. What does that look like in practice? It looks like building a portfolio before you have a job, creating work you can show, a project, a case study, a newsletter, a GitHub repo, proof of skill that doesn't require a company to vouch for you. It looks like micro-credentialing, not necessarily another 4-year degree, but specific, stackable certifications in high-demand areas, data analysis, digital marketing, financial modeling. That's signal competence without requiring 2 years of experience. It looks like finding the industries that are still hiring entry-level because they have no choice. Healthcare, skilled trades, infrastructure. These sectors can't automate away the hands-on work.